So I walked down the track with my partner and we come to a group of bushes and then a flat stop. Like behind those bushes was a cliff, a sheer
Hmm.
cliff face. So you can't go through it. And I said to her, I said, look, I feel like we're supposed to go under this little bit, even though we could see there was this kind of cliff rock face just beyond. We pushed through, and the next moment we were in the most magical place. To this day, she still says this is the most magical thing that's ever happened to her. We were out in a completely different world. Like they call them Baal in the Tibetan worlds, or they call it hidden valleys. We
Mm.
literally came out into a place. So for those of you listening, imagine you suddenly you don't know, but you arrive at Disneyland, and Disneyland is a pure natural resource. So beautiful, sparkling waterfalls and trees that have got shining with golden light, and the most extraordinary verdant, rich green grass and forests that look like elven forests out of the Lord of the Rings. And we're standing there and we're literally in this place. To this day, I know, I swear I could touch everything. I could sit in the grass, I could play in the waterfalls, in the streams, I could walk through the forest. And my partner at the time said she felt like a fairy in an enchanted land. She said to this day, she's never experienced anything like this. So it's helpful that there were two of us there. And we stayed there. I look again, I'd, I'd say it had to have been at least half an hour. We had cameras and phones and all that sort of stuff. We tried to take photos, but none of the electronics would work. I had a watch on and it stopped.
Ah.
And so nothing would work, but we thought, well, at least we're here. We can, and we lay down and we played and so on and so forth. Then we came out of there after what I would imagine was half an hour. And I said to her the same thing, and she agreed, we better go back because we should show the group this. Oh my goodness, this is like a wonderland. It's like the most extraordinary thing we'd ever seen, ever. I mean, to this day, I can still remember the feeling. We emerge from the those bushes, so we come through. Of course, there's no cliff there at this point, or at least not what we're walking through. We walk through the bushes and walk up the path, and I put a rock down on the path and I call ahead to the guy. And I thought, that's strange, they've hardly moved from the spot they were in. And I call
Mm.
ahead to him and I say, hey, have you guys been up and back already? And he said, what do you mean? We saw you disappeared for only an instant. We just thought you'd just gone and come straight back. And I showed him his watch, of course, had mine had stopped and his was, moving. So his had gone on that few minutes. So somewhere in that flash of the mystical realms, we'd been able to touch something beyond this world, and still to this day, we've never been able to re-experience it because we took actually the whole group. We said we've got to show you this. I mean, they could see we had absolute awe written on every pore of our skin. And we went back to the point where I put the rock and I said, look, but I got there, no path, no rock, no nothing. And I asked her, I said, do you remember there was a track there that I went? He said, I vaguely, yeah. He said, you'd pointed out something or other to me. I just thought it was a rough beaten track. I said, it's not there. Nothing's there. So
Wow.
he said, Stephen, he said, weird things always happen to you. He said, I've been here before. That's never happened to anybody, but of course it's going to happen to you. And he questioned my partner. And of course, she gave a verbatim, identical description of everything, the length of time, the technology not working, all of that, that to really support what we both experienced. So when you spoke about that beautiful experience you had, I can feel that in my body. And I hope one of the things I hope to everybody listening that Derek and I are conveying what it feels like in our bodies for you to feel this with us too.